Flyers rips one into the night, deep into right, way
moves to the right, it goes directly to Clement. Clement reverses it, and the pass goes into the end zone.
To Nick Foles.
It's a touchdown by Nick.
He scores! Keith Primo is able to win it, and the Flyers win the title.
Can he get it off? Yes! And the Sixers win it!
What is going on, everybody? We are talking 2-on-5. Obviously, you know where we're at. Billy Pistol's Basement Saloon here with Billy Pistols himself, the co-host of the Thursday live shows. Bill, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Jake. I'm happy to be back in the saloon. I know we did it from remote situation last week.
Oh, yeah.
I love being here with you. I love talking all this stuff. So let's get into it. There's a lot of news.
Yeah, no kidding. No, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, across all Philadelphia sports. I mean, Sixers updates. Flyers finally announced a new captain. You're talking about Eagles' thoughts following the Super Bowl. Phillies with their new awful jerseys, and they're finally got pitchers and catchers going in there. No, I mean, we obviously have a ton to talk about. Getting everything up in front of me right here. But no, I mean, why don't we just start it right off the bat with the Flyers? I got the Hextall jersey on.
Love to
Flyers
see it.
have announced their 20th captain in franchise history, and that is one Mr. Sean Couturier.
The Coots.
The Coots man. Thanks for checking in from the nosebleeds. Great podcast there. I was honored to be their producer for a period of time.
Oh,
Great
very
group of guys there. Really, really solid group of guys. So really appreciate them checking in. But no, Coots, I mean, really well deserving.
Absolutely. I mean, that man has been a
crack in. Thank you, stateside, providing some of these delicious beverages for tonight's show.
Please drink responsibly. No, Couturier has been a Flyer, longtime Flyer. He definitely deserves it. He's a leader of this team. The man's a phenomenal two-way player.
One of the best two-way players that the Flyers have had in 30 plus years.
One of the best two-way players in the NHL.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
without a doubt.
So for a team coming in this season that didn't really have an established captain, obviously we were expected to be rebuilding, and no one thought we were going to get this far, this fast. So when you're talking about who's leading this team, he still has a lot of tread left on those tires, and he has bought into the Flyers organization fully.
Yeah.
So you have a longtime player, a very good player, and a very high quality of character person who's going to give some leadership to these young players that are coming in, these picks that we're getting. I think it's a phenomenal decision.
No, it was the right move by them. And the one thing that really kind of surprised me was the Lawton and TK. I mean, Lawton, you already saw he had the A on just the other game. You saw that. Mm-hmm. But Lawton and TK is the alternates. I mean, TK was a guy that I had proposed being a guy you sell high on. And I love TK. Like I would love if they sign him long-term, give him a big deal and everything. But TK was a guy, the Flyers came out and said, you know, we're not going to be buyers. If anything, we're going to be sellers at this deadline. And I agree with that. I posed that question on Twitter, got a lot of traction. A ton of people coming after me when I said, hey, Flyers had said they're possibly going to be sellers at the deadline. Would you sell TK when his value is probably at his highest? And I didn't say whether I would or wouldn't. And a lot of people were like, are you nuts? We're finally in a position to make the postseason again. This team is rebuilding. Like, this is what we need. And to me, too many times teams believe that if you make the playoffs, you're fine. You're good. You're back. And that's not the case. Like, this team is not a team that I feel is poised to make a great run. I feel as though it's a team that's outperforming their talent level.
Yeah. And expectations. I think talent level wise, we are doing very well. We're about as expected. But you can't expect your team to make a deep postseason run every year. That's just unrealistic. So coming into this year, everyone wrote off the Flyers. It's going to be a bottom team. We're hoping to finish third in our division.
No, exactly.
And that's massively above expectations. We're doing well. Should we be huge buyers? Should we sell the farm? Absolutely not. Or should we panic, put our finger on the self-destruct button and, get value where we can? Also, no. I mean, there's pieces in place. Danny Briere has made a very, very large amount of smart decisions.
Yeah.
He is looking towards the future. He's balancing the desires of the fan base, because that's the crux of it here. General manager, head coach, if you lose 2 seasons in a row, your head is on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And this man came in, he got all of our bad contracts off the books. And there was fan favorites. They were talking about bringing Wayne Simmons back at some point so he could retire a Flyer.
Shout out Wayne Simmons retiring.
I mean, yeah. I mean, great guy. Love him. My wife has his jersey hanging in the closet. She still wears it. But do we pay him for that victory lap when he's done? No. He's making smart decisions, Danny Briere, and he's doing a great job about it. Be patient. I'm not going to say the Sixers thing. You know what I'm talking about. But be patient. Our team is developing as we hope it will, and it's only going to get better over the next 2 years.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of positives there, and I'm kind of with you. Like, this is not a team that I think needs to sell everybody. There's pieces that you obviously have shown, like Morgan Frost finally coming into his own. Cam York's really doing a decent job on defense. You already made the move trading Cutter Gauthier for Jamie Drysdale, who I think has been doing a fine job. I mean, We've needed a right-handed defenseman for a while. Gets Sanheim back in his natural position over at lefty and everything. There's a lot of positives coming. But yeah, if somebody calls and offers you the absolute farm, and I think the best tweet I saw was, if somebody calls and offers you their farm, their neighbor's farm, and the farm across the block for Travis Konechny, you take the deal.
Absolutely.
Like, there's not one person on this team that is the franchise defining of, like, nobody has ever seen a player like this of all time team that you need to keep. Like, everybody's got a price. That price might be astronomical, but everybody's got a price in my mind on this team.
If somebody is willing to pay that price, yes. And that's why these teams, their offices, their front office has so many people in place to evaluate this. Yeah. Me and you sitting here speculating on what Konechny is worth, we can parse through some of it. But there's a lot of smart people in a lot of high-powered positions. So, and if someone calls,
let me pose a trade to you.
All right.
Somebody calls you up and says they'll give you a first-round pick and an A-level prospect. You trading Travis Konechny?
Well, probably not, honestly, because if one person is calling me saying that, then multiple teams value Konechny at the same level. So I'd shop it around at that point. But
yeah, no, of course you're gonna try to leverage that into more. But a first-round pick and an A-level prospect is, I mean, that's, I feel as though, the most you could get for him. I mean, his value is very high. He's scoring. He's an all-star. He's doing great this season. But that's a lot for a guy that this is the first time he's really showing it over at least the first 2/3 of a season. That's kind of the minimum that I'd buy in on. Obviously, anything above that, I'm 100% doing it. But that's the minimum I would need to see. And that's probably slightly more than he's worth. He's probably worth a first and a B-level prospect.
Absolutely. You're correct there. But if someone calls me and offers that, I'm not going to get an itchy trigger finger and trade away somebody. I mean, he's putting butts in seats right now. He's selling jerseys.
Yeah, no, but no matter what, even last year we were selling out the Wells Fargo. We're getting ticket sales. No, it's not an issue with that.
But if you remember at the beginning of this season, me and you had many conversations about how we thought the Flyers were going to do and if we even wanted any games.
Of course we do.
But yeah, of course we want to go Flyers.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about generating some fanfare, because that's the thing that Philadelphia is known for. No matter the sport, no matter the venue, we show up. Away games, we're bringing 10,000 fans. Yeah. Home games, we're packing those stadiums. That is the reason that teams don't want to come into Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean,
and if you have a player like Konechny, who's an all-star, he goes out on the ice, the introductions, they're cheering, they're loving it. You have Coots, newly announced captain. They are going ballistic. You think that opposing team is going to come in there not rattled, not like, here I am at the Wells Fargo Center?
I don't know, man. I mean, the Wells Fargo Center, it's not the Spectrum. Like, the Spectrum was a hockey. It was a stadium built for hockey.
Yes, it was fantastic.
And like the Wells Fargo Center, it's fine. Like, I've been to a number of different NHL stadiums. The Wells Fargo Center's mid to lower tier. Like, it's up there in my mind because it's the Flyer Stadium.
Yeah.
But it's nothing amazing. Like,
well, the stadium itself, no, but the fans.
Well, yeah, the fans are always nuts, and just the whole history behind the Philadelphia. I mean, took down the Russians. We had the Broad Street Bullies. Like, the NHL absolutely hated us for the entirety of the 70s, except for the 1 week that we were facing the Russians. And then the entire NHL was a big Flyers fan. And then they went right back to hating us. So,
well, a quick shout out right now, Jake. 6 days ago was the anniversary of the Philadelphia Flyers being approved as the second expansion set of teams. Team of 6. We were the second 6 days ago.
There we go.
Yeah.
Can't be too mad at that.
Weird collision, but yeah.
Yeah.
We missed it. I think it was actually our last podcast. That was last Wednesday.
There we go. All right. Well, that'll be 8 days ago. That'll be 8 days ago.
8 days ago. Yeah.
All right.
Math is hard.
So we're opening up the call lines now. It's that time. So if you have any thoughts, on Flyers, you have any thoughts on anything Philadelphia sports related, you see at the bottom of the screen there, we're opening up the call line. I know we had a caller, you kind of jumped the gun a little bit. So if you're still there, definitely call back. We'd love to hear your thoughts on everything. And then we got a little question at the end for you to just kind of bounce off you. But no, I mean, Flyers, they're in a good spot right now. They're up. Last I checked, they're up 1-0. You have the score in front of you there. You mind pulling it up? I know I saw a beautiful finishing move that the Flyers had to get themselves up 1-0. But look, they're looking. They lost 5 in a row heading into the All-Star break. They're looking to win 5 in a row here tonight. The one thing I did love to see was in their last game, they put the game on ice. I mean, it's funny because it's a game played on ice, but they were much like the Eagles this season, and they absolutely refused to just put a game away. A team would go ahead and pull their goalie, and we would just have the puck in our defensive zone the entirety of that time, never have any real shot at an empty net goal. Last game, about 30 seconds into the team pulling the goalie, we went out there, scored an empty netter, really put the game away. It's something that I haven't seen the Flyers do in a while, so really love seeing that. Oh, they are no longer up 1-0. They are now down 3-1 at the end of the second period. So that's a big shame. But look, we've seen them come back from deficits like this time and time again.
Yeah. I mean, this team has heart.
Oh, for sure.
And it's a bunch of players who are not giving up. They're not buying in. And it starts from the top. If the head is rotten, the body dies. John Tortorella is just an animal. He is not going to let this team perform poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And whether we're down 3-1 going into the third period, whether the expectations coming into this season are low, that's not acceptable to him. Oh. And you love to see it because that is Philadelphia. We're fighters. We love and we hate and we die by the sword.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have got John from Bethany calling in. John, it is a pleasure to have you on the podcast. We are so happy to have you in tonight. How are we doing?
Good evening, gents. Welcome to the Austin Matthews Show.
Exactly. So we're obviously talking on the Flyers now, but we're talking 2-1-5, and today is 2-1-5 day. For those that aren't following on Twitter, we're also going to be posting something on our Instagram later today in honor of 2-1-5 day, it being February 15th. We're giving away $215. That's it. Just cash money. Well, not cash. It's Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, whatever you have. But $215. So you want a little spare change? We're going to be putting that on our Facebook and Instagram, hopefully later today or tomorrow. But it's already out on our Twitter. But John, what do you want to get into tonight?
Well, since we were talking Flyers with the trade deadline coming up, I have a wish list. But also after tonight's debacle, I think we could use some goalie help. I think Sam Erston is getting a little drained. I think Marc-Andre Fleury might be knocking on the door here for a second-round pick, perhaps.
There you go.
I really think that he can't do it by himself, and with a Carter Hart situation the way it is, I mean, he's going to need some help. He's drained. He's done all he can. I think a guy with playoff experience will be a good insurance policy with us heading in. So him, and then I think we need a bona fide scorer, like a Vaclav Prostal type, scorer, helps out on the 31st in the league power play. So some of the wish lists that I've got, talking Flyers.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, like that kind of brings into the whole question of how you want to approach this trade deadline. And I think as though, as a fan, I would love that. But as somebody that's, more looking analytical, like as a podcast host, really looking at the deep dive, looking into the future of this team, the amount of stuff you'd have to give up to get a Fleury, to get a bona fide scorer. Is this a team that we feel is a goalie and a bona fide scorer away from making a deep playoff run? And not only that, would that be like, okay, we can make a run this year, but what does that do for our next 3 years? I mean, we're looking at...
you don't want to affect the nucleus, and I get that. You got the Forsters, you got the Frosts, you got the young nucleus. However, if they make a playoff run this year, I mean, Torts has got them playing hard. I mean, if they make a playoff run, you really want to say, you really want to do a good showing. You don't want to do a one and done. And I think that I want to protect the nucleus, and I agree. Think about the future, but these young studs, especially guys on the Maple Leafs, we're seeing their firepower. You don't want to give up a first, but they've got a lot of draft capital this year, which is why I was, insinuating to a second round pick and third round pick. I mean, they've got a lot of draft capital. Unless you want to move up in the top 10 to get a stud, that might be a short term solution. And they locked up Tippett for an extension, so they're on the right trajectory, is what I'm saying. But
well, John, let me ask you this: coming into the season with the expectations, as we talked about, being all-time low, what does a successful season look like?
For me, I would say a first-round victory. A first-round victory would put them, into the semis, and honestly, that would show that Torts still has that playoff magic. He hasn't had a deep playoff run since. I mean, the Columbus Blue Jackets aside, I mean, when he was on Vancouver, and the Canucks made those runs with the Sedin twins. I mean, he had that firepower, but he had that young nucleus, and unfortunately, his term there was cut short. But I just think that a first-round win, and then it would give them a lot of momentum going into the next year because they're going to retool. They'll get some goalie help in addition to Urson, and I think that'll be a really good season for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Flyers, Sam Urson, he's shown a lot of promise. And look, he's younger than Carter Hart. He's 24 years old. He's shown that he can really kind of hold his own. While I'd love to have him be kind of a 1B starter rather than your guy that's going to be playing 75% of your games he's now been thrust into. I mean, that's the position we're in right now. And I think if you're able to keep the team the same, or if you're able to trade some of your older veterans and get back a third, fourth, fifth round pick, even if a second round pick, if somebody's willing to overpay, that's great. I don't think personally you go out and you buy a goalie or you go out and you buy a scorer. I think you say, hey, we're in a good position to make the playoffs right now. Let's go ahead and do that. Get some of our young guys some playoff experience. And if we go on a run, I mean, look, the 2009 run, we made it in a shootout on the last game on the glove of Brian Boucher. A shootout, by the way, that the Flyers are historically terrible at.
Yep.
And then we had to rely on Michael Layton because Boucher got hurt, and we made it to Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. If we're going to run like that, that's phenomenal. Well, I'm not paying for something like that because I feel as though we're not 2 players away from being a Stanley Cup favorite. And I fear that getting those players would put our future in risk.
Well, and I personally think that coming into this season with everything as it is, this coach, this team, holding pat at this trade deadline, taking this team, if they make the playoffs, that's a huge boost to these.
It's a huge win. Nobody expected a playoff berth.
We didn't have to go out and buy another goalie. We didn't go out and have to buy another forward or a defensive pairing or anything like that. This young team knows they can do it. Yeah, a little bit more experience. I mean, Ersson is you said what, 24?
Yeah, 24 years old.
That's a young guy.
And we've drafted the top goalie prospect out of Canada in last year's draft, and the top goalie prospect out of somewhere over in Europe in the previous year's draft. Like people talk about, oh, we got to go out and get goalies. Like, yeah, it'd be nice if we had a true bona fide starting goaltender, but I'm not paying for that. And we have enough prospects in our system where I'm like, you know what? One of these guys is going to hit.
Yeah.
We just got to figure out which one.
You guys have a different school of thought, and it's a great school of thought. It's just, I just wanted to bring some guy in pretty much on the cheap, like a rental, and just in case anything happens to Urson. I don't want this promising season to end because he's played out or he's burnt out, and I don't want them to have a letdown after they showed so much promise because what are they right now? The 4th or 5th seed? I think they're the 5th seed, right?
They're the 3rd in the Metro. Yeah. So they're holding on to a non-wild card spot, which is great right now.
Yeah.
I know they have a couple games in hand. They had a very rapid start to the season, so they've got a couple games in hand over the teams directly ahead of them and behind them. So hopefully they can stay right around there, but if they just play slightly above 500 hockey, they're going to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, we'd love to see that. But, John, I know you're a huge Philadelphia sports fan in general, and I know you're itching to talk about more than just the Fly Guys. So what are your thoughts on...
Absolutely, you read my mind.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on anything else out of Philadelphia here?
Well, I was taking a break on the Eagles for a little while, but spring training is around the corner, and we have to talk some Phillies.
Yeah, we do.
I'm not a pessimist. Believe me, I've been watching the Phillies my whole life, but this offseason has been abnormally quiet for Dave Dombrowski, and we all know he likes to wheel and deal. Do you guys? I'm going to ask you guys this: do you foresee any moves come spring training time where we can get some starting pitching help? I mean, I think we're near there, but I don't feel confident.
John, you're talking to the wrong guy. Our starting pitching is like the best part of this team right now. I mean, look, I might be alone in that. I really might be, but look, I'm going to go on a little 90-second rant here. Last year, I'm going to do it quick, so don't worry. Last year, we start the season. Zach Wheeler hasn't been fully stretched out yet. That's why Aaron Nola had to be the game one starter. Ranger Suarez had that forearm strain, so he had to miss the start of the season. Taijuan Walker, freshly on a new team, still wasn't 100%, and we had no idea who our number 5 starter was going to be, whether it was Matt Strahm, whether it was Bailey Falter, whether who it was. And so it took us about 2 to 3 months before we really knew, hey, here's our 1 through 5. And then we still had a bunch of doubleheaders because of rain delays and everything like that. So we had to bring up guys, whether bullpen game or a AAA guy. But we're heading into this year. I mean, Ranger Suarez was at their first day of pitchers and catchers. 2 years ago, he had the visa issue. Last year, he had the forearm issue. This is the first time in 3 years in which he's reporting day one of pitchers and catchers. Can't be happier about that. Zach Wheeler, ace. He is ready to go. He's already talking about him and his camp talking about an extension. We'll get into that later in the episode, as I'm not somebody that's like, oh, sign Zach Wheeler no matter what. No, there is a price. I would love to have him back, but there is a point as which I say, no, he is not worth that at 35 years old or whatever age he is at. But I'm talking about a rotation going through 1 through 5. And if I am Rob Thompson, here's my 1 through 5. Zach Wheeler 1, Aaron Nola 2, Ranger Suarez 3, Christopher Sanchez 4, Taijuan Walker 5. Okay. If that's your 1 through 5, I am ecstatic.
So I'm just going to tack on because Jake covered most of this, but I disagree with number 5 slot. I think Taijuan Walker, who he didn't pitch for the whole playoffs.
Yeah,
he was kind of shut down for stints, and Bauer's out there. This has been getting a lot of traction. This is also something we're going to talk about later in the episode, but. For a league minimum plus incentive deal,
why not?
You're telling me that you don't want to shop Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, and if I'm going to just jump in right now. If everything that had come out had not shown that he was completely innocent in the situation, I would want nothing to do with him. I mean, you want everybody that follows Talking 2 and 5 knows our stance when it comes to anything like this. I wanted Deshaun Watson to be castrated. If there's any truth to this Carter Hart stuff, I hope he never plays another period of hockey in his life. But everything has come out that has shown Trevor Bauer is completely innocent. And if that's the case, why not sign it to a league minimum? He already came out and said, hey, if you sign me and you find that your fans or your locker room isn't in love with it, cut me.
Yeah.
He said, cut me. Yeah. Then, okay.
Guys, we also have to keep in mind, the Phillies farm system has been rebuilt in the past 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
We know that Griff McGarry might not be ready yet. However,
when will he be ready? Griff McGarry has been an untouchable prospect for what seems like a decade now. And when is he going to be ready? Either come up this year
when he's a closer,
or trade him.
He's got to be proven in the.
Oh my gosh! Well,
he's not proven himself for a full season. And you as well I know. I mean, he was even pitcher of the year in the minor league farm system. So I think he needs a little bit more to prove before he jumps in. That's just me.
Well, why is he untouchable then? Why is it in all trade talks? Oh, Griff McGarry, Mick Abel, untouchable. We can't.
You got to understand, starting pitchers like that don't grow on trees. And if you wear his arm out like they did Andrew Painter, you're looking at a guy who could be another waste of talent. I mean, go down the list of all the guys that the Phillies have wasted in their farm system.
Okay, and now in that same Howard, in the same Howard. Exactly. Spencer Howard, he was an untouchable guy. He stinks. He sucks. He can't play on the Rangers team. And they talk about Sixto Sanchez. More like Sixto tons. He put on 60 pounds once he went over to Miami. That's a big boy now. He's a fatty. Looks like Bartolo Colon over there. I mean, you can name these untouchable prospects. Like, That's the biggest thing, especially with pitching. You have no idea what you have. This guy could be a load of shit. You have no idea what you're going to get. So to have these guys that aren't Andrew Painter. Andrew Painter is the only pitching prospect that is untouchable. He's a guy that's under 22 years old, that's touching 100 miles per hour, that's going to be your Spencer Strider, that's going to be your Verlander. He's going to be in this system for the next 15 years. Everybody else, if somebody calls up and says, hey, you know what? I think he could be that guy. And you get a JT Realmuto like you got with Sixto Sanchez.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead. Sixto, he looked great in his one season with Miami. But guess what? He doesn't even play baseball anymore. He's sitting there playing canasta with the rest of his rehab group because his shoulder's completely fucked up like he was fighting in Vietnam.
Right now, if the Braves and the Phillies were in the playoffs again with their top 5 and the Braves top 5, who do you got? I mean, it worries me that we have a back end of the rotation. Our guys are going to get burned out.
Is this limited just to pitching?
You've seen the past 2 years who we got. It's not even gotten to game 6.
The Phillies are a postseason team.
Like, I've got the Phillies. Yeah, like Ronald Acuna right now with Shohei Ohtani not being able to pitch this year, Ronald Acuna is probably the best player in baseball right now.
Probably.
Yeah. I still would take the Phillies 100% of the time in a postseason series.
Yeah.
Like, sure, regular season, they'll probably win the NL East. They probably are going to be another astronomical team. Also, who knows if we're going to get into it. Braves might have cheated last year in the regular season. They might have.
Bang them drums, man.
I don't know. They may have. But no, in the postseason, like, look, we've seen it the past 2 years, and that's without guys playing absolutely incredible. Like, the Phillies all day. It's a good question. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, how dare you ask that? It's a good question.
That's all. It's concerning with the health. And maybe I'm over concerned with the Flyers and the Phillies with health reasons. But I saw Nola showing age a little bit on his arm. Wheeler's not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, they're still not old guys by any means.
Well, the best thing with Nola, he's an every other year pitcher. Well, and so we had bad Nola in the regular season last year. We're having Cy Young Nola again this year. It's just,
I'm asking you this, guys. Would you rather set regular season
Talking
records?
Is hard.
It's hard. Talking 215 is hard. Would you rather set regular season records?
I don't give a shit about the Rays. All right, Dallas Cowboys.
Or
like,
would you rather be a city like Philadelphia that gets into that play? I mean, that Flyers, that 09 team you're talking about, squeaks in on a shutout, tip of the glove save.
Literally, you need to win
to the Cup.
Yeah, made it all the way. Went on a run. Same thing with the Phillies in 22. Yeah. Last game of the season, make it in the postseason. Go to game 6 of the World Series.
Even the Eagles in 17, we started hot, and then Carson Wentz goes down. Nick Foles takes us to the promised land.
I mean,
do you want regular season success, accolades, all of that, or do you just want to be the animals that we know these Philly sports teams are?
Well,
because bats get hot, bedlam at the bank.
To answer your question, what you just said, you want them to be, a regular season warrior. I want them to set the foundation to go into the playoffs with momentum. We've seen Phillies teams take it all the way and get there, but I want to make sure they set the foundation. I don't want to battle for second and third place in the NL East. And the NL East is getting better. And, and the Marlins,
fuck the Mets.
They're one of those sneaky teams that give us a hard damn time every year. The Nationals always play us tough, and the Braves are the Braves. So I want us to set the foundation and dominate the NL East.
I love how he just ignored the Mets. He's like, screw the Mets. I love that.
They ain't got nothing.
The Mets are our biggest fakers, phonies out there. They always have this great team, but they don't deliver.
Now, I called that. I was on somebody else's podcast like late in the season 2 years ago when the Mets were like 100 and something win team. And I said, talk to me in October when the Mets have been bounced. I was like, because that's exactly what's going to happen. They are getting bounced. And everyone's like, are you kidding me? The Mets are the Mets. I'm like, okay. And the Mets are going to Met harder than
Cowboys in the NL East.
Oh, yeah. The Met. I mean, there's really like, it's an adjective. You Met, like that's an adjective. The Mets are going to Met every single year. That's what they do.
They do, and they always have this team that they've spent tons of money on.
Yeah, second highest payroll in the MLB.
Second highest.
And what do they have to show for it? They never have anything to show for it, and they always have injury issues.
They have a middling season, and they flame out.
They have a middling season because they're meddling and meddling.
Middling and meddling.
John, I know you're as big of a Birds fan as anybody else out there. Real quick, and then I'm going to ask you the question that we're asking everybody. What are your thoughts on Vic Fangio, Kellen Moore, and the staff that they're bringing in?
I don't like Kellen Moore. I never liked Kellen Moore.
Oh.
When he was Boise State. I never liked him when he was on the Cowboys. He's a pass-first guy.
No, he's not.
And,
that's a misconstrued stat. They were the 10th best rushing team in the NFL, more seasons than they're not. That's such a misconception.
Let me answer your question.
All right. I'm muting myself. Mike's muted.
All right. This is like around the horn. I never liked Kellen Moore for a lot of reasons. He hasn't proven success anywhere he's been, except for numbers. And numbers and stats don't win you championships, and we know this. As for Vic Fangio was the move they should have made last year, but they didn't do it, unfortunately. They missed out on that. We know this. However, this bend and don't break defense aggravates me. And it's still, it's proven when you can actually rush the passer, which they couldn't clearly do this year. So those are my thoughts on the coordinators. Are they an upgrade over the jokers we had in there last year? Yes. Because Vic Fangio brings experience. He teaches the guys the fundamentals and how to tackle, sure. But I want them to be more aggressive, and I also want to make sure we retool with the right guys this year in the draft and free agency. And we have a lot of capital to do it, gentlemen. We've got about $50 million when we unload some contracts, which we will.
Kevin Byard's going to be going. That's going to open up 13.5.
I'm optimistic about the free agency and NFL draft of how he does it right. But the coaches, on the other hand, I need to see Nick grab this team by the balls and run this team like he did during the Super Bowl run, basically.
Yeah. No, John, I greatly appreciate the time.
Use the flower metaphor if you have to. I don't care what he's got to do, but he's got to get this team to believe in him again, which they clearly didn't, and they forgot how to play football after that Bills game.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
So.
No, all right, John. Let me ask you a question before we hop you off here. You can go anywhere in the world to get a cheesesteak. Where are you going?
Oh, are you talking Delaware? Or are you talking Philly?
Anywhere in the world.
Oh my God.
Where? All right, or you can just say, where's the best cheesesteak you've ever had?
The best cheesesteak, I'm going to go with local favorite, Capriotti's. I know a lot of people are going to be
no. I am with you. I am with you on that. So no. Have you had a Capriotti's cheesesteak?
Yeah.
So underrated. Capriotti's is top 5 for me, and they're not number 4 or 5. They might be 3.
Jacques.
No,
Jacques. I am not counting Philly.
I am telling you, Capriotti's is an underrated cheesesteak spot.
Like if
phenomenal.
If I had no car or no
John,
other way,
thank you so much for calling in. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. Have a pleasure. Love your podcast.
Thank you.
Have a great night, John. Yeah, if I had no car, no other way to get food except for DoorDash, and it was just Capriotti's.
Dude, it's a top 3 cheesesteak in my mind.
That hurts.
It's a top 3 cheesesteak. Look, you all heard we were just talking to John. You have any thoughts? Go ahead, call us up. You see the number at the bottom there. We'd love to get your thoughts on anything. Go ahead, call us up. And while we're on the subject of cheesesteaks and everything, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to give the first 2 reviews for the Talkin 215 Cheesesteak Rodeo. We posted out there on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, hey, where's your go-to spot, Philly?
A lot of hype about this, Jake.
We had 1,000 responses.
Yeah.
And I took about the top 6 to 10 of those responses. And I said, all right, I'm going to go to all these spots. And look, this isn't the end all be all. Like everybody's palate's different. I hate mustard. I hate vinegar. I hate pickles because they're very vinegary.
It's a very subjective science, but
very subjective. That's what I'm saying. But I have went to 2 thus far. I went to Gazzo's. It's a food truck out of Pottstown, getting a lot of hype recently. And yesterday, I went to Steaks Westchester. I'm going to go ahead, give the 2 reviews right on that, right off the bat. Gazzo's, I'm starting off with. Both times I actually took the ambulance there. For those that don't know, I'm a paramedic. I work 24, 36-hour shifts. We had a patient that we dropped off at Pottstown. We were second due, so we had another truck ahead of us. So obviously, if a call came out, we'd be ready. But we had a bunch of time to waste.
And paramedics have to eat too.
Got to eat. So we went over to Gazzo's. Nice people, fun spots, a little food truck there. Very crowded, which obviously speaks to their steaks and everything. So I'm going to start right off the bat. Roll. Gazzo's uses a great seated roll. I think that has taken over as the roll you must have for a cheesesteak. Any other roll I feel is insufficient, insuperior, whatever you want to say. A seeded roll, I feel as though, is a necessity for a top tier cheesesteak. They had a very delicious
little middle slice action.
Very
there.
delicious seeded roll. Yeah, nice fat middle slice cut in half. They cut the ends off so everybody gets the same steak every time.
I love that. I hate eating through the heel.
Yeah.
I will not eat through the heel.
No, they cut both ends off and everybody gets the nice middle pieces. It's a good size, great quantity. They use raw ribeye, no frozen, true ribeye meats, nice sauteed onions. You can get your choice between a bunch of different cheeses. I've recently made the transition from provolone to Cooper Sharp. Cooper Sharp is now kind of taken over my mind as the cheese of choice
You're not
for
doing the
cheesesteak.
whiz?
Don't start with the whiz.
Come on,
Don't.
whiz
Without. Don't start with that.
All
Whiz
right,
is
I'll
not.
let him do his
Whiz is
thing.
not the cheesesteak cheese of
I
choice.
might fight you, but
okay, look, for like a true blue collar Philadelphian, maybe, but for like people that actually want the best tasting sandwich, you're going Cooper Sharp. I went with their standard cheesesteak, Cooper Sharp. It was very good. Definitely not a top 3 cheesesteak. Cooper Sharp is elite. We got some text in on the text line saying that what is he saying? Gazzo's is not top 3. Is that what he's? That's
what he's saying.
That's
but
I would agree.
Cooper Sharp is elite.
No, and I would agree with that. Gazzo's is not top 3. But here's the little thing. They got overrun, and I feel as though they rushed. I feel as though they got to a point where they could not keep up with the amount of people there. They actually had to turn off the open sign, wait until they caught up before they could take more orders. And I feel as though they rushed a little bit. So I might give them another chance. But
Alex
the main
said on the text in line, Capriotti's is definitely not a top 3.
Okay. No, I mean we'll see. Again, I've only gone to a couple of them now. Capriotti's for me personally is sitting at number 3. But I haven't gone to some of the heavy hitters yet.
All right.
But Gazzo's is not top 3. I gave them a solid score. I said they're great, not phenomenal. Because for me, it's like, oh, good, not great. No, they're better than good. But I feel as though they rushed a little bit because all of the sauteed onions were laid on top of the steak. They weren't mixed in with it.
You hate it.
So you get a great bite. I love onions in my cheesesteak. You get a great bite of onions when you bite the top.
Yep.
But then the rest of it is an onionless bite. But again, I think as though they rushed. I feel as though they normally mix it in with their meat, chopping it up, tossing it and everything. So I don't know if it's because they rush or anything, but I gave them a 7.9. Solid score.
It's a good score.
It's a great cheesesteak, not something that I'd travel out of my way for. Pottstown, obviously,
that's
if you're from the Delaware area,
of a perfect score.
Yeah, 21% off a perfect score. It's a B cheesesteak.
Yeah,
it's a B level cheesesteak. Phenomenal service, great guys there. They run a great truck. Again, wonderful ribeye steak, a little bit thick cut on the ribeye. They chop it fine, but the ribeye slices themselves were a little bit thick.
Okay.
The Cooper Sharp, they melt it well between all of the meat and everything. Seeded roll, give it a 7.9. Now, Steaks of Westchester, right now.
Let's jump in.
Right now, Steaks of Westchester is the best cheesesteak I've had in my life. As of right now. But
Those
again,
are bold words, fans.
Yet,
everybody listen to him say this.
I have yet also suspenders with a shirt underneath. It's a hot take. You got to take the sweatshirt off. I'm with you on that.
Well, this is Fanatic Green.
Yeah, it is Fanatic Green. So there's a little bit of leeway there.
I mean, I'm sweating a little bit, but I've got to look good for the cams.
Well, you look better with it off. So,
right.
Steaks of Westchester. Again, fresh, raw ribeye, Cooper Sharp, seeded roll, onions throughout every single bite, tossed it up nice. Again, I went at a non-peak time. I went yesterday at probably 3 o'clock, figuring this is the prime time to get it. Called 10 minutes ahead, got there in 10 minutes. It was ready as soon as I got there.
Okay.
Onions throughout every bite. I gave Steaks of Westchester a 9.2.
So you're telling me the difference between a 7.9 and a 9.2 is mixing the onions?
No, there's more than just that because the ribeye,
I need
the ribeye was a little bit thinner.
Okay.
So it's not, again, like the ribeye was cooked wonderfully at Gazzo's. I'm not sitting here insulting Gazzo's. But
we all hate when you bite into a cheesesteak.
And there's a little bit of a chew.
Or you're just pulling strips of ribeye.
Yeah, you had to kind of squeeze it and pull it because it was great ribeye, but it's a little thick. So you had to either really take smaller bites and bite completely through it, with Gazzo's. Whereas steaks, it was chopped fine. It was thinner, fresh ribeye.
Okay.
The cheese was melted. I mean, the amount of cheese was perfect. It was melted between everything. The onions were through everything. I personally like ketchup on my cheesesteaks. They mix ketchup between every bite. They open it wide open, mix ketchup in there with the meat and everything.
Wait, you're putting ketchup
Seeded
on a
roll.
cheesesteak?
Yeah, I'm a ketchup on a cheesesteak guy.
Oh, man.
I'm not Giannis Antetokounmpo putting mustard on cheesesteak like a fucking psychopath.
Or just none of it. Like the
No,
way that
I like ketchup on a
the way that they
cheesesteak.
hand you a cheesesteak is the way it's meant to be eaten.
Okay, so what? The way that you hand you can't add anything to any meal. You're saying the way that Ulysses hands you something. Like, okay, they hand you a French dip. It's not dipped in the au jus. You can't
Well,
dip
they
in
give
it.
you the au jus on the
Okay,
plate.
the ketchup's right next to right there on the table.
Yeah, it's not on the plate. It's not
Okay.
on the sub.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was a fine, but not too thin, perfect thickness ribeye, finely chopped, but again,
I
not
love
too
that
fine,
chop too.
not
Like,
too
get it?
fine. So you had every bite, you weren't tearing anything. The roll was a beautiful seeded roll. Did have the butt ends, but it was nice enough where the cheese made it very easy to take a bite, and the roll was high quality enough where you actually enjoyed it. And what I did was, like, I ate everything had the butt end. I used that and just scooped up all the melted cheese that dripped on the wrapper, some of the droppings of the ribeye. Used it as kind of like a dip.
Anybody who's listening, that's a really solid
No,
move.
I mean,
Use the
I'm going to
butt
post
ends.
pictures on the socials and everything. Some people might rip me because it does have ketchup on the cheesesteak right there in the pictures.
Hey, I rip
But
you live.
Steaks
What are
of
they gonna
Westchester
do?
right now is a 9-1. Again, I'm going to Angelo's next week. We're going to be going to there's a couple other ones. Why am I thinking? Jim's is a big one that people really talk about. John's Roast Pork is one that people really talk about. Cafe Carmelo is one that people really talk about. We're going to be going to all these places, but right now, Steaks in Westchester is the top for me. They are holding the one spot. But Alex, for saying that Capriati's is not a top 3. Sean is in the comments. He shared a Capriati's cheesesteak with me. I'm talking about serving size, massive. You get so much, and they use what they claim to be Wagyu ribeye.
Yeah, I mean, if I hit the Powerball on Saturday, I'm gonna get
Now you're
Capriati's
getting
cheesesteaks,
an
but, like,
average cheesesteak you're paying about $15. That's what I found between Gazzo's, between steaks,
for
between anywhere.
Capriati's large,
You're
it's
paying
like $27.
I don't know about all that.
Look it up.
We'll have to pull it up.
All right,
We'll have to pull it up. I'm not 100%, but again, you're getting a massive. We had. If for anybody that has seen Sean in person, he's a big guy, 6'3", 6'4".
Sean's a beefy guy.
And then we had DJ Ben, who comes to our live podcast at the tailgate, 6'5", ex-Marine. Boy can put away some cheesesteak. We got one large, and the 3 of us shared it, and we all were full. So you're getting a large, and it's not for one person. It's not for 2 people. It's for at least 3 people. And we're men here. We're men.
Yeah, grown men.
Grown men. And we're put away a Capriati's cheesesteak. And we got it before the tailgate, drove all the way there, set up, ate it probably 45 minutes after it was made, still have it in the top 3. I can't imagine how good it is fresh. Sean, if you're still in there, throw a comment on there just saying how good a Capriati's cheesesteak is, because it is.
They're tasty, but it's not top 3, man.
For right now, it's top 3 for me. It's probably number 3 right now for me. And it might be currently number 2. But again, Angelo's is obviously a pretty much consensus 1A for a lot of people. Freshly baked rolls every morning. Mm-hmm. He measures every roll to make sure everybody gets the same exact size cheesesteak. Like, Angelo's does it right. So I'm checking them out next week.
And remember, everybody, please comment. Please let us know where Jake needs to go.
This man say ketchup on a cheese. What?
What cheesesteaks does Jake need to try? How
I mean, if you have your go-to,
please send us that way.
It's the Talkin 2 and 5 cheesesteak rodeo. So send me where you need to go. I've seen a number that people say Atlantic City has a bunch of good ones.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, Delaware really has an underrated cheesesteak scene.
And we're not far from Philly. Like, shout out your favorite cheesesteak spot.
I will say, though, a number of people said Woodrow's. Check them out. When I say Gazzo's is great, not phenomenal, I'll say Woodrow's is good, not great.
Okay.
I gave him about a 6.8.
Yeah.
Good. Serving sizes, tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny serving sizes. The only cheese they really offer is their homemade truffle whiz, which is like, it's a cool concept. They homemade their own truffle whiz
in it. I love that already.
look, go there, enjoy it. It was enjoyable,
I will eat
but it
with a
wasn't
spoon.
somewhere that I'm gonna go again. I'm gonna be honest. The most enjoyable part was their Cajun fries dipped in their whiz.
Yeah.
Dipped in the leftover whiz I had. The cheesesteak was a tiny little
Cajun
cheesesteak.
fries are powerful by themselves.
The cheesesteak itself was a tiny little cheesesteak. The whiz was overpowering, and it was just, I gave it a 6.8. If we were on that street and somebody said, "Oh, hey, we're hungry," and I didn't want to go to across the street, it was like ramen and more, and I didn't want to go to ramen and more. Yeah, I'd go back to Woodrow's, but I'm not going out of my way for them. 6.8. I have a picture I can post of that as well. The main thing was that for the price, tiny cheesesteak, non-seeded roll. It looked like a roll you're getting out of your high school cafeteria on the sub line.
Yeah, a little meatball sub, like the shorty.
Just a classic shorty out of Wawa kind of roll.
Yeah, we've all been at Wawa, got the meatball shorty, and you're like, I could have 2 more of these.
Have had a lot of people, the Cougar 122 coming in here, have had a lot lot of people saying Nick's in Delaware. Gonna have to check them out.
Oh, yeah, I've had
a lot of people saying
they are
Nick's.
great. Alex, our friend, he turned me on.
He is
to
our
it.
friend.
He
hell of a golfer. I'm going to beat him
hell
this
of
year.
a golfer. Oh, you
I'm
probably won't. He's fantastic.
I'm going to beat him this year.
All right,
Alex, if
we'll
you're
see.
tuning in, I'm going to beat you this
But
year.
yeah, Nick's is awesome. They do great pizza and great steaks.
Yeah,
and it's so great.
Shout out Nick's. Let's get him on board with Talking 2 and 5.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. But definitely want to switch scenes here. We finish up the 215 rodeo. Want to talk a little bit about some of the ways that Talking 2 and 5, our employees and the podcast in our area give back. We're talking about the Conway and Dwyer Memorial guest bartending event, going to be held on the leap year day, February 29th, over at British Brewing Company, BBC Tavern in Greenville, Delaware. I do have to say British Brewing Company before I say there. Yeah, Josh G coming in here. He knows. Yeah. Alex, hell of a golfer.
Hell of a golfer.
But we're talking about the Conway Dwyer Memorial bash.
Yeah, so it's BBC, the Brandywine Brewing Company.
Brandywine Brewing Company.
There it is.
I keep saying British because the British broadcast channel. What is it? Yeah. Brandywine Brewing Company, British broadcast channel, whatever.
But no, as Jake said, it's February 29th. It's leap year day.
Yep.
So it's a Thursday this year. I am one of your guest bartenders.
Oh, yeah.
And right off the rip, the guest bartender who raises the most money wins a really stupid trophy with like a solo cup glued onto it. I really don't care about that at all. And I definitely won't slam whiskey out of it. So, maybe help me win it. I don't know. But it's a fun event. The beneficiary of this event is the Delaware Cancer Support Society. So this is a free resource. Yeah. It's very close to my heart as a cancer survivor myself. There's a lot of stuff that goes into fighting that battle.
Yeah.
And they offer counseling for both the person and their families to how to deal with this. They have 2 primary fundraising events, and this is one of them. So if you feel like it, it's all on all of the Talking 215 socials. Please donate. You don't have to check my name, Bill Spartan, Billy Pistols. But if you feel like contributing, if not, just come out. Good drinks, good food, good fun. Jake's going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah, heavy Talking 215 presence going to be out there. Great food over at BBC. A lot of fun drinks. You're going to be serving up right. And it goes to a great cause.
Yeah.
It really goes to a great cause, helping out the cancer support group foundation, everything. And look you can speak to somebody that's gone through it and everything. Like having a group that's going to be able to, you can go to that understands it a little bit better than just your average person in your family, everything.
Absolutely.
Having somebody that you can talk to is so crucial in these talks above just the treatment that you receive. Having a group that you can really just confide in is so beneficial.
And the toughest part about going through it, so for me going through it, I just kind of made my peace with it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's the family. They're like, I need updates. I need to know how you're feeling. And I'm just kind of going and getting plugged in and doing it. It's the families that need the support because they don't have this information. They're not there with the doctor's appointments. And this resource is available to supporters and families of cancer patients. Yeah. So, if you're breaking down because I'm going through something and I won't talk to you, you can go talk to them and it's all free to you. There is zero cost. You can go in 1 day a week. You can go in 5 days a week. They have support communities and, they do very great work. and I'm very excited to be a guest bartender. I kind of hope I win that trophy. Maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm winning that trophy.
Look, if Talking 2 and 5,
I'm winning that trophy.
If Talking 2 and 5 can do anything to help you there, we know our listeners are all wonderful in supporting and philanthropic efforts and everything. So look, you head on over to the Cancer Support Center. Cancer Support. Where exactly would we need to send them?
So the event is posted on our social.
Yep. We have it on all of our socials there.
It's the 2024 Conway and Dwyer Memorial Bash.
Yep, put on by the Cancer Support Community of Delaware. So you can search any of that and look for the Conway and Dwyer Memorial Bash. You can find an area where you can donate. You go to guest bartender list. You find Bill Spartan. Click him as your guest bartender.
Absolutely.
Donate whatever you can afford. And it goes to a wonderful organization that helps get cancer survivor himself, Billy Pistols, the trophy, as we know we want everybody to do. So definitely go out and do that. On a darker note, the Phillies new jerseys and MLB jerseys as a whole are so bad.
Yeah.
We Talking 2 and 5 has a source that has told us that both MLB and the Fanatic, not the Fanatic, and Fanatic, because the Fanatic is a radio station and it's not them. MLB and Fanatic are aware of the issue in the quality of the uniforms, and they are putting steps in to remedy it, but it is believed to be too little, too late. Our sources tell us that there was no quality control group put in place to check these before they left. And the second I saw them, it looked like it was a jersey that you bought off of Wish.
Yeah.
Or Temu or Alibaba, whatever.
Stitches are getting out of place. Colors are different. It's
the
horrible.
Pinstripes are terrible. The names are tiny and curved. I mean, they look terrible. And seeing the worst commissioner in all of professional sports, Rob Manfred, came out and talked about how, our main focus is on a performance jersey. And we feel as though as the more players play in them, they're going to be happy because this is a performance jersey. Your jersey sales are going to they're going to bottom out. If you don't still have the main jerseys that you had for the past decade as the ones for sale, nobody's buying them. It looks like they're made out of 100% polyester.
Well, and so here's the problem. Here's the hot take. Don't yell at me too hard. The reason that the MLB changes their jerseys every 2 or 3 years, all of the different, salute to services that they do, you can't get last year's or 2 years ago salute to service because they want to sell these.
Yeah, no, of course. It's
and they're
a business.
trying to change it. But the problem with that is when you look at the NFL, they're very consistent in their jerseys. They tried the color rush thing. Color rush didn't work. They shut it down. They said it was horrible. No one liked them. Let's go back to just selling tickets.
Yep.
Let's let fans enjoy this. And nothing feels worse than buying a jersey for a new season. Hey, you're a new Phillies fan. You come in, you go and buy your jersey. And it's horrible. People don't like it. People are looking at you like, oh, you got this weird one from the 2017 season, this one-off. And it's just, they need to stop tinkering with it.
Yeah.
They need to walk it back. If you want to test performance jerseys, that's fine. Players can wear performance jerseys because we're not wearing players' jerseys.
But when's the last time you heard a player complain about their jersey?
Never.
In the MLB? Never.
When was the last time an MLB jersey ripped?
Yeah. No, it's insane. You're having these guys out there. It looks awful. It looks cheap. It looks like a knockoff. It looks like completely iron on. Like, it looks terrible.
But they're not wearing those jerseys.
No, and it's just
they're selling those jerseys.
They're wearing them.
They're not going.
They're wearing. Did you see the spring training pictures?
Well, they're wearing them in
awful.
Spring. They're wearing them in spring training so that we buy them.
No, it's too little, too late. They're adding them as the main jersey that's going to be worn. It's awful. It is terrible. The one thing I hope and pray is, look, I've said this a million times. The only jersey sponsor that the Phillies could have that would, and this is the only sponsor that would actually make a jersey cooler. You saw the Braves with the Quickcrete and the Mets with ADT, or to have that backwards. The Mets had Quickcrete and the Braves had ADT. They look terrible. All massive advertising on the sleeve. Yeah. The coolest jersey sale you could get, is the Phillies jerseys with one singular red Wawa goose. That would make the jersey sick.
You would sell out immediately.
Oh yeah, and it's a jersey. Like you're making money.
Get Bryce Harper with Wawa on the sleeve. I'd
yeah,
buy
like the fact
tomorrow.
that they don't have that is insane. We Talking 2 and 5 first to come out with that.
Yep.
We said it a while ago.
If
and
this
I've said it 8
happens,
times.
if this happens, we
need
royalty.
jerseys.
Yeah.
We need free jerseys.
Yeah, free jerseys.
But that would actually be like some of these jersey sales make them look terrible. Like the crypto.com looks awful on the Sixers jerseys. Like it's terrible. I hate the whole advertisement on the jersey thing because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, like John Middleton's not missing out on any money. Trust me. I've been to these games. You have to take out a reverse mortgage to be able to get a beer. That's why I sneak in a couple of White Claws every game. Don't find me, MLB. But that's the only jersey advertisement.
Shout out, I have a plastic Yeti flask that I throw in my high socks.
Yeah, of course.
Protector doesn't catch it.
Well, no, they now have the no touch, the non-contact, like a little security walkthrough.
Yeah.
I walk through with 6 metal cans.
Yeah, they're like, put your phone in your hand, and I'm like, cool.
Okay,
I got all of
I got 6 cans in my pockets. But yeah, sure. But no, that's the only jersey sale that would actually make a jersey cooler. Is a singular red Wawa goose right on the sleeves. That'd be incredible.
That would be fantastic. And they're expanding. I mean, Wawa is down in
they're in Florida. They're all over the place.
They're
They're in North Carolina. Look, we got Cody checking in. How does a multi-billion-dollar organization turn out something that bad? I'll tell you why. It's the Fanatic. I mean, you saw when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl last season, the patch, they had nothing there. It was falling off of people's jerseys. It was the gray and white patch. They didn't have the colored ones. I mean, you've had people get it with the names, like the letters not in a straight line. Like Fanatic, owned by what? The Sixers owner, right? Joshua Harris? Is the owner of Fanatic. Am I getting that correct? I mean, it's a terrible company. I mean, nobody's shocked. Nobody's shocked that the Fanatic is responsible for these jerseys, and they're awful.
And I have a bunch of jerseys from them. And
there's a reason why they have 70% off sales every other week.
Yeah, and you know,
it's Alibaba or Alibabi, whatever you want. It's them. Well, like it's their product.
They're advertised for $179.99,
for what should be a $300 jersey.
Yeah, and you know,
and you're getting 70% off.
They run
the
discount. They say, hey, we can get it to you for $60. It takes what, 4 weeks to get.
To at least. And I've had people that live like 2 blocks from a Fanatic warehouse, and their jerseys are typically 3 weeks late.
Oh, at the end of the last Eagles season, we ordered a couple of Eagles stuff. You know what we received? We received.
I don't want to know.
New York Yankees T-shirts. That was not a hat and not a pair of leggings, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Can we fix this for you?"
You're like, yeah.
No, like I'm gonna burn this merchandise.
Yeah, send me the shit that I ordered.
Yeah, and it's not there. And contracting like a la carte company like Fanatics to make jerseys. Why are we not going through Nike, Adidas, Reebok? You know, these companies that have been making jerseys for years. I mean, like this very great jersey.
Oh yeah, I mean this is 30 years old. It's a Ron Hextall jersey that came out when Ron Hextall was on the team.
It's still hold together.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Fully stitched on. You know, it's a nice 27 Ron Hextall. It's a funny story with Ron Hextall. Yeah. White Glove, great sponsor Talking 2 and 5. For the premier sponsor Talking 2 and 5. First sponsor Talking 2 and 5.
Love to hear that.
They've had a lot of celebrities come through the car wash. I mean, everybody needs their car wash. No matter how rich you are, your car still gets dirty. Ron Hextall used to be a customer. He's coming through the car wash. It's, you know, drop your car off, you wait, and then it drives through on its own on the conveyor, and it comes out, and they do all the detailing, and then you're done. So he's standing there waiting for his car to come out. Kid goes up to him. Hey, you're Ronnie Hextall.
That's lovely that he recognized that.
He looks at the kid, goes, no, I'm not, and walks away. Good old Ron Hextall. No, I'm not.
No,
walks
I'm not.
away. Bernie Perrant, also a customer. Great guy. Everybody loves Bernie. Would come through. People like sign stuff when he's there waiting and all. You know, a lot of great Philadelphia athletes have come through. D. Jax has been there a couple of times. Yeah. Ike Reese has gone through the car wash. I mean, a lot of famous Philly athletes and celebrities have come through the glove, and you should too. I mean, there's no, you're not too far from the glove.
I've been there.
Oh yeah. You just had to ask your phone, take me to White Glove Car Wash. With 3 locations in Jersey, 2 in Delaware, and 1 in Pennsylvania, you're never too far from the glove. No better time to go right now with all the salt on the road and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Your car's filthy.
Get it all
I mean, your car looks like shit. Like we know that everybody's car out there looks terrible right now.
And people don't know, me and you have been friends for what, 8-9 years now?
Oh, at least almost 10 years.
Yeah, almost 10 years. And so I'm not just saying this as a part of the podcast. I've been to White Glove before. It's fantastic.
Yeah. People are like, oh, it's not magic. I'm like, magic's terrible.
Yeah, they're like, you just sit there and I go off to the side. Like,
you got free coffee and snacks for whenever you're waiting on it and everything.
And I used to do the one right outside of like University of Delaware.
Yeah, the one on 896.
That was the one that I would go to. And every once in a while, he would give me like a free coupon because we were friends. But I would still pay for it myself. I pay for that wax. That wax is nice.
Yeah.
Like they are doing a really good job buffing.
And they actually, starting last year, they started a new unlimited package. Starting the lowest package, I believe, is like $25. You could go every single day. And if you have the package, you just put it, it's like a sticker you put on the inside of the windshield. Okay. They scan it. You can go unlimited times for every month that you have it. It's starting fantastic. At like $25.
Guys, it's a fantastic product.
Yeah. You go through there, you can get your car washed every single day. If you're driving by it, like why wouldn't you? It's all of 5 minutes to go get your car washed and everything, 5-15 minutes. So you go through, you get the unlimited package. There's a bunch of different tiers from like the basic where you're just doing the exterior to the ultimate where you're getting exterior, interior, undercarriage, wheel well, everything. Yeah. And you can spend $50 a month and be able to get your car washed once a week. It's always looking perfect.
So the thing,
and that goes so much for your paint health and everything.
The thing that got me was when those little like sap droplings that crystallize into like the
crack white through the paint.
Yeah,
the enamel of the paint and everything.
That team got that whole thing off of my hood.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah,
it would take me all of the supplies, all of the cloths, all the time to buff that out myself, and worrying about messing up my own paint. I was like, I'm coming back.
Yeah. No, like the self-service is fun. Like the whole idea of like, oh, you drive through, you park it, you get a handful of quarters, you do it yourself. But you're telling me that you can do it better than, an entire machine and crew can do it.
27 minutes ish.
Yeah. When you're doing it yourself, you're sitting there, you're trying to use every second you have.
Like I can do that on my way to work. I just leave a little early. Boom, done. Got a clean truck going into work.
Exactly. So with today being Talking 2 in 5 Day, we're giving away, like we've got car wash giveaways on the internet all the time. We got car wash giveaways at Ulysses every Saturday. We're gonna be there this Saturday.
Yes,
go through, and these are the ultimates. Like these are the $50 car washes that you have a chance to win, where you're getting everything. You got people, it runs through the wash. You got people at the end hopping in your car, spraying the inside of every window, wiping the inside of the window, outside of the window, the dash. They're putting the armor all on the whole dash and everything.
They're pulling that koozie or that pair of sunglasses out from underneath of your seat. And they're like, hey, I think you lost this, sir. Like they're doing a great job.
No, they do it up right. So definitely head on over to White Glove. Again, all you got to do is ask your phone, take me to White Glove Car Wash. You're never too far from the glove. Family owned and operated now for over 40 years. Don't go to Magic where it's just some big corporate chain. Don't go to any of these other places. Head on over to somewhere that's been family owned and operated from the same family for over 40 years. And you're going to love the product. Let them know that Talking 2 in 5 sent you, and maybe they'll give you a little something for you, a little extra spurts of the new car smell at the end.
I think if they say Talking 2 in 5 sent them, they're definitely getting a little extra.
Yeah, they're getting a little extra elbow grease.
Yeah, a little, here's a little air freshener.
Yeah, no, exactly. Here's a little extra, because they always ask you at the end, hey, do you want cherry, lemon, new car? What do you want sprayed at the end? They'll give you a little extra spurt.
Yeah, a little like wipe off the leather seats kind of deal.
Exactly. So yeah, Jersey's awful with Philadelphia.
I hate it.
We'll see if anything changes. I hope you're right. I hope it's just they're trying to do this to sell them. Nobody buys them. Because look,
I think that's what's going on.
At the end of the day, money drives everything. When nobody buys them, they're going to change them.
Yeah.
They're going to change them. And a big thing, shout out to BP Soli on Twitter. She chimed in right at the beginning. Kylie over on Twitter. She was like, look, there's a big pinstripe disparity. That there is less pinstripes on these new jerseys. Yeah, you're getting lower quality and less pinstripes. Count me out.
I mean, I
need as many pinstripes as possible.
Dollars per pinstripe.
Yeah,
I'm not trying.
They're thinner pinstripes. It's a lesser quality. You know what? You're never seeing the Fanatic wearing that thing.
Jake, I know that red dye is a little bit more expensive than like bleach, but less pinstripes, thinner pinstripes.
Count me out.
Yeah, I'm not buying a new jersey.
No, thank you. And look,
I'm gonna rock my bib. I got my
what's your
Fanatic green.
What's your prized Phillies jersey? Mine's without a doubt is my autographed Roy Halladay jersey.
Prized Philly jersey.
I mean, rest in peace, the late Roy Halladay. I've got you see it in the studio whenever we're recording our main episodes. You see it hanging right behind me. It's the autographed Roy Halladay jersey.
So
my prized Phillies jersey.
I don't have a prize on. My go-to is
I mean, my next is the powder blue Bryce Harper.
No, that's on my list to buy because going to the postseason, I wanted to get that World Series patch on the Bryce Harper, but it's last year, or the previous, not this past season,
exactly.
the following season. I have a pinstripe JT World Series patch.
Nice,
and I think the catchers are so important in the game of baseball. JT, how many Golden Gloves does he have now? 2, 3?
A bunch.
He's got a lot. And that's my go-to, which is why I need to buy the powder blue coveralls so I can wear the pinstripe JT over top of it. But Phillies, I want you to show me that you're not just going to keep remaking these, because I've had 6 jerseys.
Yeah.
And they just become outdated because we're changing. We're doing different things. They're no longer doing the red pants with the red shirt this year.
No.
They announced that.
I mean, that wasn't a good-looking jersey. I'm fine with that.
It's fine, but if you're going to try something, test it out in spring training, see what it does, sell your couple of jerseys, and then go back to the tried and true.
Yeah.
How many colors are the Eagles worn?
3.
4. It works.
Midnight green, white, black, and the Kelly green now.
I mean, the Flyers...
And look, whenever they change manufacturers, the midnight green gets the tiniest bit different, but like to the naked eye.
But even the Flyers, they've had a couple different iterations. I know you guys have seen over the past couple of weeks, I wear the 06-07 jersey.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm not hating on the new ones, but I'm not buying a new one.
Yeah.
Show me something cool that's going to be nostalgic for me, that's going to really make me feel like I need to spend $200 on this, because these jerseys aren't cheap.
No, exactly. So that's it with the Phillies. Sixers, look, Buddy Hield's been a hell of a player.
He has.
I'll tell you that. Buddy Hield has been nuts since he's come here. Cameron Payne's been better than expected. He's probably been giving you even more than Pat Bev gave you, and you got him in a second. I'm interested to see Kyle Lowry. They're not going to have him play until after the All-Star break, which obviously is going to be their next game, because last night was the last game heading into the All-Star break, in which they choked against the Heat team at home, a Heat team that was missing Jimmy Butler. So you hate to see that. Their fourth quarter was just abysmal. They have no attack of the glass late in games. They allow teams to get offensive rebounds on them all fourth quarter long. So it's just terrible to see. But Buddy Hield is a guy that's really, really been a solid player. He's been a guy that's always said that he wants to play at some point in his career in Philadelphia. So I know he's happy to be here now. Look, if they can get him affordably, he's already shown me in 5, 6, 7 games that he's a guy I'd like to have for the next couple of years.
Well, I think that they can get him back.
Yeah, I mean,
that obviously his role is going to change when Embiid is healthy. But getting him back in, he's done well so far. What's the harm in taking a pass at him and saying, hey, this is what we're going to offer you, a little bit more than you were paying, but not max level deal, because he's 31. He's going to be 32 later this year.
Yeah.
Do you think that we're going to throw 40 a year at him?
No shot. But I mean, I wouldn't.
Oh, I wouldn't either. But if we offer him 10, 12, 15, maybe, to be a rotational piece with Embiid back and having him be a secondary, maybe tertiary player.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's ask Marissa from Tokyo.
Love to hear it.
Love having Marissa call in. Marissa, thank you for hopping on with us. Welcome to the show.
Konnichiwa, my boys. How we doing?
Konnichiwa. We're doing wonderful.
How's it going, Marissa?
I mean, we're sitting here drinking stateside Surfside, so you can't be doing too bad.
May I just say, the overalls on my big screen TV pop out very well. Nice fashion statement.
But isn't he wearing?
Nice.
He shouldn't have the sweatshirt on though, right? It should be overalls with nothing underneath, right?
Underneath. I mean, I'll do it if we're gonna yell about that.
That is true. That
Yeah,
is
it's the
true.
Stubbsy. The Stubbsy. Look, you can't.
Follow Jason Kelsey. And
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Well, Marissa, you've inspired it. We got Nips out for Harambe.
There we go.
They're out and wild. Marissa, we're talking a little bit about these Phillies jerseys. We're talking a little bit about the Sixers trade deadline. I know you're a big Eagles fan and everything, and we haven't yet started our Eagles talk, so there'd be no better way to kick it off than with you talking about it. Watching that Super Bowl, what did it give you? Did it give you hope or anything for the Eagles heading into this year? Because personally, I think it was a pretty bad Super Bowl. What did you think leaving that game? What did that kind of have you think about the Eagles?
I think the Eagles still have a chance this year.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with the crew that we hired.
Oh, for sure.
I think they all have a great resume that is going to help Sirianni be more focused on what needs to be made, because last season was just completely disorganized. We were switching coaches from, to head, putting them up in the booth. We just had no control or communication. And I think it was because we just had too many young guys who just didn't have enough weight yet to make changes, get the job done. But again, with the guys that we have now, I think it's going to be very solid. I mean, I don't want to say any names, but there was somebody that was making predictions that Eagles are going to go 5-12.
Oh, stop.
This season. No.
5-12 is not going to happen.
No, I mean, Vegas has them as the 8th most likely team to win the Super Bowl. And I feel as though that's a good spot.
Yeah. I mean, with handicapping Vegas odds,
they have them tied with
tied
with the Cowboys.
There's no shot that we win less than 9 games.
No. If you have if Vegas screws up and the over under is anywhere in the single digits, you have to take the over.
Oh yeah. If they're saying we're winning 5 games,
no, I mean
I will reverse mortgage my house and bet that entire
balance
on it.
No, Marissa, you're spot on with that. We went from possible new and up and comers to proven veteran guys. I mean, Kellen Moore has shown that he can lead a great offense. Vic Fangio has shown that he can really put together not only a great defense, but a great coaching staff around him. And you're seeing these veteran hires, the guys, proven guys that can go out there and really make a big difference on this team. Stuff that outside of Jeff Stoutland, we didn't have. I mean, Jeff Stoutland was by far our best coach on the team last year. And I still expect him. I mean, he's one of, if not the greatest position coaches in the NFL. And I expect it to stay that way.
Well,
but we got
it's
Clint
been
Hurton there.
a big retool here.
Yeah.
And at the very least, Kellen Moore knows how to run an offense.
Oh, for sure.
Brian Johnson knows how to play Madden.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Johnson being hired by the Commanders and reportedly a significant offensive role. I mean, that's a great thing to hear because he's not going to do anything.
Competition eliminated. It's not going to be good.
But in true Philly fashion, he's going to be phenomenal over there. Their offense is going to break records. But no, I mean, it's exciting. Marissa, is there anybody, I don't know how much you really, follow the draft or anything. I try to follow it as much as I can in the months of February, March, and April and everything. But is there anybody or any position even that you really hope the Eagles focus on in April's and May's draft? It can even just be a position that you really hope that they address. It doesn't have to be even a specific player.
Is there anyone that's? I guess maybe I'll have to ask this with a question.
That's fine.
Is there anyone that? Because my biggest concern is I'm hoping for one more year with Jason Kelsey.
You and me both.
We all are.
Yeah. So do we have anybody that could be his successor?
I think we already have that in house. Jason Kelsey hand selected Cam Jurgens
So I'm going to cut this off right here. No, there is nobody.
What are you talking about? Jason Kelce selected Cam Jurgens.
Jason Kelce is the #1 center of all time.
Yes, of course. And we hope that he plays again next year.
So there is always going to be regression.
Yeah.
Even Cam Jurgens coming in.
Cam Jurgens is not going to play at Jason Kelce level, but I'm saying we already have our heir apparent to Jason Kelce in-house.
Yes, but
if you want to draft a right guard, sure.
There's natural regression built in. You're not going to be a Jason Kelce.
No, you're not going to be the greatest center in NFL history as soon as he retires. But I'm saying, like, I don't think we need to approach this draft saying we need to draft the center, because Jason Kelce was a massive part in the selection of Cam Jurgens, and he is going to be the replacement to Jason Kelce. And look, you took Tyler Steen in the 2nd round last year.
Yeah.
You don't take a guy in the 2nd round if you don't expect him to be a producer. So look, if Jason Kelce does happen to retire, which right now I would be surprised if he did, I'm probably at 70% that he's going to return, 30% he's going to retire. But if that 30% comes true and he does retire, Cam Jurgens is your center, Tyler Steen's your right guard. Like, that's what it is right now. I know Coach Joey, shout out Coach, is a big Jackson Powers. I forget his last name, Jackson Powers Roger or something like that. One of the top guards coming out of the draft.
Yeah.
Sure. Like if that's the best player available at that time. But for me, you gotta in the 1st round address the secondary. And there's a lot of great corners in this round. Quentin Mitchell out of Toledo is a guy. Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama is a guy. Like, take one of these top tier corners, because Darius Slay right now in this point of his career, you love him. You love Jennifer Slay. I mean, one of the best player wives on the team. You're talking about, we talking about Phillies, like Jamie Hoskins. Yeah. Everybody loves her. Hate that she has to go
buying beers for the entire section.
Jennifer Slay making banana pudding, heading over to the 4th and John tailgate every week. But let's be fair. Darius Slay is just a slightly above average corner at this point in his career. And James Bradbury is just, look, a guy that we went from absolutely loving to being just get off this team. Like, it's shown that we need to address that position. And I'm going to be honest, Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, none of these guys showed me anything where I was we're good.
Not getting anything back or not getting a deal done with Hassan Reddick.
Well, that's yet to be determined.
Yes. TBD.
Again, this whole thing, we're going to get into the Reddick situation after this, but we'll get into that. But no, I'm with you. Like, interior offensive line is a great pick, Marissa, for early in the draft. I think cornerback would be my go-to. But again, it's you're at a position where you might as well take best player available or trade back. Because if you're there and you're dead set.
Absolutely. I know maybe some people are going to disagree with me, but I've just been having a positive attitude because, like, the last 2 years, I've been very happy, especially last year's draft, the way just how we basically took everybody from Georgia.
Yeah.
Why
not?
In the draft.
They won 2 national championships back to back. Should take their defense.
So I got nothing. I got nothing negative. Sorry to be perky.
No, there's no. I mean, please, be as perky as possible. I mean, I'm excited. Nolan Smith, for a 1st round pick, you would have liked to seen a little bit more out of him, but you saw some flashes there. Again, he was in a system that was downplaying every defensive lineman. I mean, everybody had a down year on the defensive line, so it's really kind of even unfair to judge him already. I'm very excited to see what he can do in a 3-4.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be
with a good
prototypical 3-4
with a good
pass rusher
system in place. I mean, some of the weapons that we have, defensively speaking, you can move them around. And that was the conversation coming out of the draft, was we have so many flexible players who can go in different spots and just wreak havoc. We didn't do that. We weren't moving these players around.
We had no kind of amoeba defense. No. We didn't confuse anything. Like, I was excited.
We weren't moving.
I nicknamed him preseason.
Positions.
Yeah, preseason. I was calling him Sean Disguise because I thought he was going to disguise the defense or anything. No, it was very, very, very vanilla.
He disguised himself as a good defensive coordinator.
Amen.
That's what he did.
Yeah, because of the horrible performance our coaching staff, I've been mostly following the news on mainly coaching staff.
Yeah.
I'm not really that worried about draft picks, because what's the point of having good drafts if we're going to have the same horrible communication from coaching?
And one thing to be
focus on.
And I love your optimism. And one thing to be really optimistic about this year is how much say do you really feel as though Sean Desai had in the people that were in his defense? Like, I feel as though he probably didn't have a whole lot, because not only was he picked up very late in the process, I mean, it was a week or two before the draft, but also it's just like, hey, man, you were a defensive coordinator once before. You're coming in here late. Like, we kind of already have our pieces. Vic Fangio is a respected guy. We hired him very early in the process. He's got all this time heading into the draft. Like, he is going to have a massive say in the pre-draft process and in the free agency process.
Yeah.
So Vic Fangio says, Howie, Patrick Queen is a guy we absolutely need to get. Like, they're going to make an aggressive move for him. Or there's a number of different linebackers that had solid years. Cashman out of the Texans, we've talked about on our recorded episodes, is a guy that's a free agent now that had a great year. You can get Cashman and you pair him up with somebody else for the same price that you could get Patrick Queen at. And then you go out and you draft a Trotter Jr., you draft one of these higher leverage linebackers. We have 2 second-round picks and 2 third-round picks. Again, the second, third-round pick has not been announced yet, but obviously the compensatory pick we're getting for Javon Hargraves is going to be a third-round pick.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Go out there and fill those needs, because right now in a 3-4 defense, you need 2 linebackers just to put on the field. And then obviously we've seen over the past couple of years, we need at least another 2 just because we're never able to keep anybody out there. And so right now, the only linebacker I think on our roster is Ben Van Sumeren and Nakobe Dean, neither of which have showed me they can be the guy.
Well, and there's a lot more input into the draft process. And then when you have your people, when you have that selection, you also get to say, these are the packages that we're running.
Yeah.
I mean, Desai was, to be fair, kind of pigeonholed into what we had at the time when he was hired. There is the non-contact period where you can't talk about NFL stuff. And, he had to get up to speed very quickly.
Yeah.
We have a lot of time to do this. We have input on this draft. We know what we're doing. And I want to see these players that we're talking about drafting, because we can use them in multiple different packages, multiple different situations, multiple different looks. Do that.
Yeah.
Show me that outside blitz. Show me that deep linebacker coverage.
And Vic Fangio does a great job at disguising it and actually making the offense confused, where typically the offense makes the defense confused. Marissa, before we lose you here, I actually have 2 questions for you. We have the one question that you actually had already heard and posted even in there.
Am I allowed to put my sweatshirt back on?
Okay, I guess 3 questions. Bill's a little cold. Can he throw on his sweatshirt back again? Are we loving seeing the skin that he's showing? We can answer that in the chat. But question number 2, if you're able to make it back into the States, we have the Sunday ticket package. Would you be able to join us to a Phillies game, Marissa?
Oh my God!
We've got a free ticket with your name on it.
Well, I mean, one of my most fun. I'll talk. Let me talk to family here, and my family back in South New Jersey. But to be honest, when is Talking 215 going to visit me in the land of the rising sun?
That's a great point.
Well, yeah. Because I sent you a text, but a pretty popular cheesesteak joint is actually in central Tokyo. It's called Philly Tokyo.
All right.
It's a Philly themed restaurant. It's been getting rave reviews for their cheesesteaks. So definitely, if you guys ever come to visit, we'll have a cheesesteak party here. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, if we just tell me that, I'll get a hotel rather than sleeping in your bathtub. I know that's where you watch your Eagles games. So I'll definitely have to, I'll find somewhere to stay for myself.
But now, Marissa, I really appreciate the time. I know it's morning there in the land of the future. Now almost probably afternoon now.
Yeah, well, you guys were actually, with all your talks of cheesesteaks and snacks and White Claws, it's just about lunch here. So
there we go.
Thank you for getting me hungry. Thanks, guys.
Of course, Marissa, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah, have a good weekend, boys.
You too. Talking 2 and 5 loves going international. Marissa, great caller, great listener over in Tokyo. So we're so happy and thankful to have her on. But look, you could be the next one on. You see the number at the bottom there, 302-540-4492. We would love to have you share your thoughts on everything. But really, I want to get into the meat and potatoes of it. Like watching that Super Bowl, it gives me nothing but optimism for the Eagles. Like this was a bad Super Bowl of teams that really did not play well. And I want to ask you, for the next person that really gets in here, was this more of a strong defensive Super Bowl or a struggling offensive Super Bowl? Because you see, like that Patriots-Rams Super Bowl was probably the worst Super Bowl of all time. And that was just a Super Bowl that wasn't dominated by good defense. It was taken back by awful offense. Because there's a difference between a defensive standout game and an offense that just couldn't get anything going. And I want to ask you what you feel as though this Super Bowl was. Was it more of an offensive Super Bowl game that couldn't get anything going, or was it a very strong showing by two defenses? So, but watching that gave me a lot of optimism for the Eagles because we finally have an offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore that I haven't been as happy of since Shane Steichen, and I think he possibly could get even more out of this team. And look, I might be a little biased because I hate Quez Watkins, and I feel as though Kellen Moore, a guy, an offensive coordinator that utilizes wide receiver threes, possibly more than any other offensive coordinator in the NFL, that we're going to finally get rid of Quez Watkins. Also, I got Madden 24. Yeah, stinking traded Quez Watkins for a 5th-round pick.
Oof.
In no world are you getting a 5th-round pick for Quez Watkins.
No.
I took that all day, and it's like in the trade simulator, it was like the other team was like, "Oh, that's a steal. Of course we accept that offer." Yeah. I'm like, no world would you ever take Quez Watkins for a 5th-round pick.
I'd take future considerations.
Yeah, I would take the old MLB cash considerations. For Quez Watkins, where it's like, we'll think about giving you money. We're not going to. We'll think about it.
Tropic Thunder, we traded you for a washing machine and to kill the wombat or whatever. Yeah,
man. No, so it's like you're in the situation where I'm very excited for offense. So the offense, I feel as though we can put up 30+ points a game. Defense, though, obviously, though, we're gonna need some more personnel. I mean, when you look back on this year and you look back, like, hey, who was the defensive standouts on this team? I mean, Bill, like there's not really anybody I can name. Like for the first part of the season, you could be like, yeah, Jalen Carter was a stud, but he hit that rookie wall. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, who could you name? It's like, oh yeah, this person had a great season defensively.
Yeah. No, our defense is aging.
Exactly. You can't name anybody.
We have a lot of people who are about to stop playing. And that's just general personnel. So what are we doing? We're trading for someone, we're signing free agents. We need to heavily draft on the defense. I mean, my favorite player, you know who my favorite player is? Fletcher Cox. The guy's the man.
Hey, Flyers force overtime.
Hey.
Do you want to talk about that? Flyers force overtime, got a point. So that's incredible. Shout out Flyers, at least getting a point out of a game in which they went down 3-1. Yeah. But anyway, go back on.
But no, Fletcher Cox is our defensive leader for many years. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
I love him. I got many Fletcher Cox jerseys. He doesn't have that many years left.
No, I mean, he even talked about, and you heard Jordan Davis talk, you heard Fletcher Cox talk, and
we have Brandon
Graham. I'd be shocked if Fletcher Cox returned next year, honestly.
And we're talking about Graham maybe coming back.
He said he wants one more year. We never almost traded Brandon Graham. We never almost traded
scuttlebutt, but
we never almost traded Brandon
Graham. So there's a lot of people on our
Would
defense.
you re-sign Brandon Graham? He said he wants one more year. Would you give him one more year?
Depends. I mean, if we're
a little hairy here, there we go.
If we're talking about a total defensive overhaul, yes, I would re-sign him. Give him 1 or 2 more years. Let him be the kind of senior in the room. Let him teach the new people the culture of the Eagles because it's very different playing at the Link. But Long term, I'm not giving him 4
Yeah,
years.
if he's willing to sign for a veteran minimum. No, he said he wants 1 year.
Yeah.
He said he wants to play 1 more year. If he signs for the veteran minimum for 1 year, of course I'm bringing him. It's Brandon Graham. It's BG.
But
Of course I am.
we need to identify another leader on this team. And I don't think Jalen Carter, I love him. I'm full Philly support of him. But
it's like, who would be your defensive
I don't
leader?
think that they're ready to turn the keys of the kingdom over to him with everything that's going on. So who is going to step up into this role? We need to.
And that's where Hassan Reddick comes into the conversation.
Exactly. You need to give that man money.
You've heard a couple of people on the team talk about you have players playing defense and you have players chasing stats. And a lot of people speculate that they were talking about Hassan Reddick there. Talking about a guy that was really just chasing numbers rather than playing strong defense.
The man's trying to get paid. I'm not going to fault
No.
that. But
I'm not mad at it, but it's just like, look, a guy that you love, a guy that's Philly's own. You know, he went out there, had a phenomenal 22
He went to
season.
high school and college in Philadelphia.
And so,
Hassan Reddick, please,
and ultimately,
Philadelphia
I'd like for
Eagles,
him to
please bring Hassan Reddick back.
Yeah, but is he the guy that's going to be able to be your captain of the defense? Because you hear guys talk about how some people play defense and some people fill stats, and it sounded like they were talking about him.
And that's a question that we need to address.
Yeah.
Like, as an Eagles organization, not me and you, but as the Eagles need to address, we need to start figuring out when the guard changes.
Yeah.
Who are we handing this torch to?
It's a tough question.
I don't have a good answer for you right now.
No, anybody
Jake.
in the comments, chime in. Like, who's going to be the leader of the defense? I mean, obviously next year it's Darius Slay. Like, because he's not going anywhere. He's probably the leader of that defense. I'm not saying by play. I'm just saying by a guy that's been there, that's been an all-pro, that's been a Pro Bowler. Like, Darius Slay is going to be the leader of that defense.
But he's only been in Philadelphia for 3 years.
Yeah. No, but he's a well-respected guy around the league, and he's done a fine job.
I want one of these long-term guys. Like, I want Fletcher to take someone under his wing and say,
well, Fletcher's most likely done. He's most likely done as an Eagle.
He's probably
He's talked about he wants to play in Pittsburgh. Like, he's talked about these things. He's most likely done as an Eagle. So it's you're talking about, okay, is Milton Williams going to be the guy? Is Josh Sweat going to be the guy? Are we going to actually even extend Josh Sweat? He's at the end of his contract. Hassan Reddick's in the end of his contract. Obviously, Jordan Schultz, follower of Talkin 2 and 5, big, love Jordan Schultz and his reporting. He's a fan of us. We're a fan of him. He did a phenomenal job. He spoke with Hassan Reddick this past week, and Hassan had talked about how he doesn't want to leave anywhere. He wants an extension here. He wants to play his career here. He loves Philly.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, it sounded like he wanted an extension. The Eagles were like, hey, that's not what we're willing to give you. Why don't you and your team go out and find out what you could get and report back to us, which I'm not terribly mad at. You see a lot of times, a lot of these agents do this in these contract years where the team has yet to extend them heading into that final year. You hear coaches don't like playing on that final year. Players don't like playing on that final year. But again, you sign that contract, ultimately you're going to have to play it.
I understand the business aspect of it. Let's see what we can get.
Yeah.
But from a fan standpoint, to take a step back from the analytical that me and you do, either we're on the golf course or sitting in front of the camera because we're always on. But as a fan standpoint, I would really like to see one or two of these guys say, hey, let me take this deal. Let me take a 1-year deal. I've made enough money. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars. So another 2-3 years at $10 million. I would like him to come in, and I would say set us up. This is Fletcher Cox was drafted and played his entire career in Philadelphia. Won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia.
Well, we've got Cody calling in, giving his thoughts on everything Eagles defense related. Cody, pleasure to have you on the show.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, Cody, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Hey, just circling back a little bit to where you're chatting about thoughts on the Super Bowl there. I kind of agree. It wasn't a good Super Bowl. And, you watch these two teams, and it's a shame seeing two beatable teams in the Super Bowl. This could have been a good year, right? The Chiefs, I think, are really solid defensively. I give credit where credit is. I think their defense is good.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Spagnuolo did an incredible job.
Yeah, but offensively, this was a massive down year for the Chiefs. Like they got a lot of holes on offense, and it's a year where the Chiefs were definitely beatable.
Yeah, I mean you saw them lose to some bad teams.
Yeah, same thing with the Niners. They were definitely
saw them lose for the Eagles.
Yeah, I was there.
Not great teams.
I personally saw them lose to the Eagles.
Yeah, and they got plenty of talented weapons. You can't discount it out, but Brock Purdy's not some superstar quarterback that's going to carry them.
No, you saw in that Super Bowl, he's just a guy.
Well, the difference between a quick sidebar, Mr. Irrelevant, the difference between Brock Purdy and Tom Brady is quite extreme.
Yeah.
In Kyle Shanahan's offense, with all of those weapons, Brock Purdy is succeeding.
Yeah.
Tom Brady as the last pick going to the Patriots.
Well, he wasn't the last pick. He was a 6th round. He was not Mr. Irrelevant.
Was he?
I thought no. Okay. Quarterback for the 49ers. You just got to dump off a 5-yard pass to IU.
Yeah, I mean, he was Mr. Yards after the catch. I mean, he had over 300 passing yards against the Eagles, but he only had 90 something. Tom Brady was not Mr. Irrelevant. Look it up. He was picked like 199.
Nah.
He's a 6th round pick. What are you talking about?
Let's Google it.
It's the only. I mean, Google it just to prove yourself wrong. But no, I mean, I'm with you. It's like you saw some teams that really didn't show it all, but you saw the strength of what a good defense will do for you. And also for all the people talking about, oh, the Chiefs show that you don't need a crazy like big market and wide receiver. You know, they show the blueprint of not paying wide receivers. No, the Chiefs they have the best quarterback in the NFL. They have the best tight end possibly ever. Yeah, I told you 199, Tom Brady, 6th round. They have a top 10 running back and a solid offensive line. Like, let's stop this whole, the Chiefs showed the blueprint. You don't need to pay wide receivers. No, they have plenty going for them. They have the best play caller in the NFL. They have the best quarterback in the NFL. They have the best tight end in the NFL. They have a top 10, top 5 running back in the NFL. And then, yeah, their wide receivers are not very good, but they have everything else in the top 3, top 2 in the NFL.
Yeah.
So let's stop with that.
Well, but even with all of that, they still showed that you can blow it all.
Oh,
by
yeah.
Not having good wide receivers. I mean, this was not a.
Yeah, their first half was terrible.
Well, the first half of the Super Bowl in general.
The first half in general was awful. But like you saw, special teams won that Super Bowl for Kansas City. Like if it wasn't for the blocked extra point and for the punt that landed on somebody's ankle, they probably lose that game.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. They 100%. But those two things combined.
Yeah. I saw a tweet where it was like, the San Francisco kicker, if the game ends right now, should be the MVP. I'm like, how? Like he's the reason the game didn't end in regulation. Like he missed the extra point. Like, yeah, he had 2 50-yard field goals. That's great. But he missed an extra point.
Yeah.
He's the reason the game had to go to overtime. And they lost in overtime.
Miss it. It was tipped.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He kicked it too low.
He kicked it low.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been. You can't ever tick an extra point. Like it should be untickable unless you kick it poorly, and he kicked it bad.
So here's where we're going with this.
Go ahead.
NFC. Is it 49ers? Are they?
49ers and Lions are probably the top 2 teams in the NFC.
Okay, and then
Packers are up and coming. Up
Okay.
and coming. I didn't say they're better than the Eagles, but they're going to be a playoff team for the next couple of years.
All right. So how does this shake out? Where are we going?
This coaching staff, it's going to be 49ers Eagles leading the NFC for the next 3 years.
Okay. And then AFC.
Cody, what do you think? NFC, who's the top dogs in the NFC?
I think you were really on it earlier when you were talking about, look, you got some aging players here. We got some holes that are going to be popping up. They got to be filled. Need the next generation of stars to step up for the Eagles. But that being said, I think we're well primed for a really strong showing the next 2-3 years. Continue dominating the draft like the past several years.
Yeah. I mean, Howie knows how to
good. And there's no reason that the Eagles can't be in the running for the Super Bowl again here, this coming year.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is just how are they going to retool this defense? I mean, was it Eddie Jackson from the Bears was cut today? Safety. He's 30 years old. If you get him for 2 years, 10 to 14 million with incentives, like I'm all about it. But anything above that, no, thank you. And it's just like, who else are they going to put out there to be their guys? Like they have a need at safety. They have a need at least one cornerback spot. We have no idea who our slot corner is going to be, whether it's Maddox or I don't know why I'm blanking on the guy's name that we picked up that was suspended for the entirety of last season, who the previous year that he played was ranked as the second nickel corner in the NFL, which I'm excited for. But you have a number of needs, and then linebacker is the biggest question mark. And when you run a Vic Fangio 3-4, linebacker is an extremely important position, and we're going to have to find out what they do in those spots. But if they fill them at least semi-appropriately, I feel as our offense is putting up 30-plus points a game, we're going to be another 12-win team, probably a top 3 seed in the NFC. Yeah. And then if you have a couple home games in the playoffs, it's going to be an NFC championship game, likely between the Niners or the Lions and Eagles. One of those 3 teams is guaranteed to be in the NFC championship so long as they all stay healthy.
No, I agree. I mean, I think you're right. The Packers are up and coming.
And they very well could be in the hunt as well. If they figure a few things out, like Aaron Jones, I think is towards the very end of his career. I don't think I've had him on my fantasy team for the past 3 years. Whoever their second running back is, I don't know why I can't think of him. He's been on my fantasy team for 3 years.
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon, yeah. If AJ Dillon's shown that he can't be a number 1 guy, so like running back's obviously an issue. If Christian Watson can stay healthy, him and Romeo Doubs are a pretty solid 1-2. Musgraves or whatever you pronounce, he's a decent tight end. Jordan Love, though, it really comes down to him. If it's late year Jordan Love, you're a great team. If it's early year Jordan Love, you're probably a middling team. So they just have a few too many question marks for me on offense to really be like, yeah, they're going to be a force. But if they figure just a few things out, they could be one of the top teams.
So here's one for you. Battle of Pennsylvania, right? Eagles, Steelers. It doesn't really count, but we want to beat them. And Cody,
very good team and a pretty bad
team. Cody is a Bengals fan for all of our listeners, and he has a very hot take on a potential new quarterback coming in. So I want to talk about that, and if the Eagles can continue to out-edge the Steelers.
Yeah, well, that was a bit of a pivot, but there's some scuttlebutt out there of Steelers potentially looking to deal for Justin Fields.
And that's huge because that impacts the first overall pick.
Yeah, but apparently Caleb Williams doesn't want to play for Chicago. I don't see how a rookie can.
He might not have a choice, right?
Yeah, I don't really see how a rookie can be like, oh, I don't want to. And be like, okay, too bad.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's a sign.
What are you going to do? Play badly?
Yeah. Well, the sign and trade, there's been a couple of those.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf and Eli Manning and.
But if that's the situation, Cody, go ahead and run with it. Break it down for us.
Sure. I mean, so my take on the Steelers is they've got a really solid team, and they are one decent quarterback away from being in the Super Bowl running.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying Justin Fields is that guy, but I think he could be that guy, and I think he fits their system well. So. Now, I am actually hoping that doesn't pan out for them, and they get stuck with some more Mitch Trubisky quality QBs for the next 5 days. But we'll see what happens.
And I personally hope that does pan out, not because I hate you, but I love draft day drama. So if they're trading him away, they're getting a pick, they're taking Caleb Williams, and just he's like, I'm not going to sign. It makes the media more fun.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, it'll definitely be exciting. That's for sure. I just don't want the Steelers to be good.
That's facts. Cody, where's you a cheesesteak guy? I know you're not in the Philly area, but you a cheesesteak guy?
So yeah, anytime I make it out the Philly way, I always try to frequent a cheesesteak.
Where's the best cheesesteak you've ever had?
Bill's going to have to hook me up with a few more spots next time we get out there so I can get a little more well-versed.
I'm getting thrown out of the bus right now.
It may be a little bit cliche, but I've been out there and had Pat's, which I know is original, and that was a neat experience. Just to
it's an experience spot.
I took you to Steaks on South.
He puts Pat's higher.
Did we do Steaks fun stuff. Pats was good. Pats was good, and it was neat just to see the long line around and everything. So from like the overall experience and ambiance, I'm giving that one my favorite.
Yeah, for somebody not around here, I can. From somebody not around here, I can see that. I can see that. Well, Cody,
I'm not saying there's not a better tasting cheesesteak somewhere, but that was neat overall.
Nice. Well, Cody, we really appreciate the time and the listen. As always, great content that you provide.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in, Cody.
Yep. You guys have a good night.
You too.
You too.
So it's getting to that point of the episode where we are wrapping things up.
Yeah, we are.
So yeah, just want to shout out White Glove Car Wash, Stateside Vodka. Thank you for supplying these delicious Surfsides. We always appreciate that. As you can see, the lovely Stateside Surfside sign there in the back as well. Sussex Salts for anybody that wants delicious salt.
Fantastic sea salt.
Fantastic.
Very flaky. Love it.
Oh yeah, super flaky. There's no binding agents in it or anything like that, and it's all flakes rather than granules. So when it's funny when people, when I give it to people, like, hey, just so you know, it's saltier than normal salt.
Yeah, and
they're like, that seems weird. No, it's saltier than normal
there's
salt.
no binding agents. There's no, they don't cut it. It's actually evaporated water.
Yeah, it's ocean water filtered down and evaporated. And you get delicious sea salt. So head to SussexSalts.com if you want some delicious sea salt from the local Delaware beaches. Shout out Ulysses American Gastropub. We'll be there on Saturday. Doing a great job over there. Shout out our friends over at Delaware Orthopedic Specialists. You know, Dr. Mesa comes on, breaks down all of the injuries and everything in that nature. So we just really appreciate all of them allowing to keep the lights on with the show and everything.
And everybody, make sure if you want to hear us talk about something, I mean, we're talking 215, but we could be talking about couch reviews. I don't care. Let us know. Please hit us with a DM.
We're here to make your listening experience as good as possible. So if there's anything you're like, I'd really love your thoughts on blank.
Give us a hot take. Give us something. Hit us in the DM. Say, somebody said this about the Phillies. And it gives me and Jake an opportunity to riff and adapt real time.
And we're hoping in the next couple of weeks to be breaking some news for you guys as far as the Talking To in Front side goes. We're hoping to be bringing a lot more coming to the fans' ways.
Oh, we got big things planned, Jakey.
Big things planned. We just have to have a couple things fall in place first. Sure. And we don't want to jump the gun. We want to.
We ain't jumping no gun.
We want to make sure that we have every duck in every row before we let you all know. But hopefully we'll be getting a lot more of you out to some Phillies games this year and a whole lot more. So,
and maybe even Flyers games.
Yeah, maybe even a little Fly guys. Hopefully a little postseason run. But for all of us at Talking 2 and 5, we thank you and we bid you adieu.